So for me, as I sort of step back, and I mean, there's a couple things that just, a couple different like emotions that I have through this. Some of it's hard to explain. It's like when you're drawn to do something, it's hard to sit back and maybe put that into words. It's like, why am I being drawn to this as a coach at this point in time? Some of it was just positive experiences and sitting back and watching our dynamic. Spending time with Matt on the deck, who's been in this role of coaching a combined program, spending time with Jesse on the deck, who's been in this role of coaching a combined program, and seeing the energy kind of roll through the back end of the summer, and probably so much good energy that we probably pushed our training a little bit too far in the back end of the summer, but that's okay. I mean, I feel like kind of where we're headed, that's always a good thing for us as a program. But it just felt like this, this calling's not necessarily the right word, but just felt this attachment to this. Like, okay, it went from needing to do this or willing to do this to wanting to do this. And even at some point, through this process, and talking with my wife about it, and talking with David Marsh about this, because David Marsh was an integral part of our success in the February-March timeframe, and just being back on the deck working with him again was awesome. And listen, if there's anyone that knows how to navigate a combined program, it's David. I think he's won more combined national titles than any coach out there. And I'm trying to think about others that may have done it or have come close, but I don't think it is. So it's just knowing that, and I experienced that with him in that time frame of February, March. There's no other coach out there that knows how to manage that time frame going into NCAAs, knows how to set a program, knows how to set a team up for success at an NCAA championships, and I felt very, very comfortable with that. And certainly with David's role being head women's Olympic coach for the 2016 Olympic team, it's like yeah, man, he like that sort of vision that we have for a college program to not only be successful in an NCAA format, but also be successful in a long course meter format. That's a shared mission. It's a shared love. It's a shared passion. It's a shared, like, this is what we want to do. So that was, and talking with him about this, just getting excited about that. It just became from this need to this willingness to this wanting to do it. And I remember at one point in time, the structure wasn't necessarily developing in a way that I felt was going to be successful for us, and I was talking with my wife about it, and she was like, "Man, I can see that you're really bummed that this may not happen." And I was like, "Yeah, because I'm excited about this. I'm excited about this at this point in time in my life, in my career, and just I could go through this year and we could rinse and repeat and put ourselves in a spot to compete for a national title on the men's side, put ourselves in a spot to advance people to the World Championship team in 2023, and that's great and that's fun and that's exciting. But with all the challenges over the last couple of years, it's like it wasn't going to feel stale. That's not the right word, but it was going to feel the same. And so as I started to think about this, as my mind started to go in different places about the structure and what we can do, the athletes that we had in the water, it's like, man, the mission doesn't change. We want to put our program in a spot to compete for a national title. We want to put our program in a spot to compete for world championship spots. We want to put our athletes in a spot to compete for world championship podium spots or Olympic podium spots on their respective Olympic teams. Like that's what we want to do. And so to have right now there's 4 of us. We're looking to add an additional coach to that. Looking to have a couple of volunteers to come in and help with it. So to have 4 of us that are pushing that thing, to have 5 of us, to have 7 of us that are pushing that thing forward, I get excited about that. I mean, it just makes it that much more of an enriching experience through this. So, and I think it's that, and then combined with, as this was happening, just I think kind of the almost the defense mechanism sort of came in, where it's just like some programs were great and sort of reaching out to me and saying, hey, what's going on, what's the best way to approach this, and some programs were just boom, going right after it, like following all the girls on Instagram, and then, you know, reaching out to them, even though they're not in the portal, reaching out to them in a you know, kind of circumventing the process, so to speak. And I got kind of defensive of that. I was just like, wait a second, this is Cal Aquatics. Like, I'm not gonna let you guys pick this thing apart. So that bothered me. So that sort of put a little passion, a little fire into me. Like, I'm not gonna let this thing be bad. Like, I'm gonna help this thing be really good. And so I think it was a couple different emotions, just kind of getting a little bit pissed off about it. Like, all right, I'm not gonna let that happen. To like just experiencing it on the pool deck. It's like, okay, yeah, we can make this thing really good, and just sort of the creativity and how we can really hone in on certain groups and really just sort of elevate the atmosphere and the environment that we already have. It's like, yeah, I can see that happening. And I'm such a visual person in the way of, like, I still, you know, write my workouts down in a book because I like to see my handwriting through it. I can remember it better. I can just kind of see, I sort of visualize the practice and see people moving through a practice and how that looks and how it's supposed to look, etc. So, like, all those things, it just, and kind of seeing this visually sort of happen organically, was like, yeah, we can do this, and sort of like, forget everybody else that's trying to pick this thing apart. Like, I'm not gonna let it happen, and we're gonna go full blast forward with this thing. As you can imagine, at the end of the school year and as you transition to the summer, there's a lot going on. There's enough going on with, you know, we had swim camps coming in. I was getting out of town. It was a little bit chaotic, and as we sort of settled in, and as we started moving as a group, as one team, as Cal Aquatics through this summer, through the last 6 weeks of this summer, it felt right to me, and then it was like starting to you know, work with our administration to feel like, okay, how do we put these pieces together to make this thing really good, and like most administrations, you know, around the country, there's some good knowledge about you know, swimming and diving programs around the country, but there's also, you know, just kind of leaning into me, and it's like, okay, how do you see it? What do we need? How do we do this? And so it was that collaboration and working with our administrators. My sport administrator, Jay John, has been absolutely phenomenal with this. He's been my sport administrator for 6 years, and just and has helped me navigate this process to make sure that we're in a spot not just to do it, but to do it at a world-class level. I mean, that is our mantra with Cal Aquatics, is to do things at a world-class level, and that's what we're looking to do. It's a natural question, right? And there's like an equal bit of like nervousness with it, right? I mean, of course, it's like I feel good. I identify myself as a swim coach, not necessarily a men's swim coach, but as a swim coach. I identify as that. I identify myself as a high-level swim coach. I identify myself as helping athletes have Olympic success, long course success, NCAA success. I feel like I have a really good process to sort of move that thing along, and that's a process that's always evolving through it. But there's also that nervousness of, what if I suck? You know, I mean, what if I suck at this? And that's, you know, we had a performance psychologist that you know, used the phrase "try not to suck," and that's, you know, that's a little bit of it is like, there is that healthy dose of fear. I don't come at this from a level of, hey, it's going to be amazing. I mean, I get, like, we're in a social media sort of driven industry world, whatever it may be. I don't have social media accounts. I'm a thinker. I'm not a projector. So I'm not sitting here projecting what we're going to do, but I'm going to think about it. And that's what we look for in terms of athletes that fit at Cal. That's why it's been such a good fit for me, is because our athletes are thinkers, and they can move through not only their academic experience and their swimming experience in a way that is a little more is a little higher level of maturity than kind of the rah you know, post this, post that sort of deal. It's like we're around very much like-minded folks, and so if I'm a Cal alum saying, hey, why would Dave want to do this? I think our Cal alum get it, right? Because it is Cal Aquatics. It is this idea of, yes, we can help this thing be very, very successful. It is a Cal family. We have our aquatics gala. Mel, come out for our aquatics gala October 8th, right? And join us, and you'll see it, and you'll experience it, and you'll know what it's like. It extends beyond swimming and diving. It extends into water polo, and so it's just something when when a part of your family is needs a little help and support, you run to it, and it's like, okay, let's go. There's so many segments and facets to our world. I mean, it's not. You could look at it very simply and say, well, it's a men's team, and we've had some females that we have worked with in the past, but to me it's a little more dynamic than that. We have our post grads that we're working through. We sort of have that hybrid of athletes that are now, as we move into the segment of being less than 2 years out of 2024, like we have athletes that need to balance that out, and we've done some things that have been a little bit different than college programs in the past. In 2016, we took a group to a long course meet rather than Pac-12s, and that wasn't to sit back and say, again, we don't do things for show. I don't do things for a 140 character post. I don't do things just to promote it. I don't know how to do that stuff. It's not interesting to me. What's interesting to me is moving athletes to the highest level of swimming that's out there, and to me that's the Olympic Games. So we have that post-grad group. We have athletes that are in that undergrad group that are also kind of looking at that. I want to make sure I'm taking care of their Olympic aspirations. We have athletes that are just really intelligent people, where swimming is not going to be their career, and we know that, but we want to make sure that they have a great swimming experience and they swim fast. But we know that what they're going to do in the world is going to change lives. We had a young man that swam for us this last year, Marcos Ricoping, who graduated early. So I would love to have Marcos back, because Marcos come back. But he's working at LinkedIn, making $250K as a 20-year-old out of school. And it's like that is amazing. And so like we have athletes like that. It is just there's a lot of dynamics to it, and so. Again, it kind of gets back to that. There's just a little different level of maturity in how we move through things, and I'm not saying that other programs aren't, but it's just different. And for David, who came into our program, was kind of blown away at that, by those characteristics. Matt, as he has come into our program, Jesse, as he has come into our program, it's like, yeah, this is a little different, and that is a separator. It's hard to put into words, but it's something that's unique to us, and I think as we move through this process, that uniqueness is consistent across all of our aquatics programs. Our process has been a little bit fast and furious through this. The great thing with this structure, even for me, is I'm the most tenured person at Cal in this situation. We have David, that is probably the second most tenured person, having worked with us for a couple months in February and March, and then through April, and then Jesse, and then Matt, and then Paylin, our diving coach. So this is a spot, and we have an open position that we're looking to fill. So this is a spot where we get to sort of shape and create this and mold this. So the question of, hey, do we have specific roles? The simple answer to that question is yeah, we're there to make our athletes, or to help our athletes swim fast, to help our athletes have a great academic experience, and to have a great experience at the University of California, Berkeley. That's all of our roles. Now it's going to get specific as we get a little bit closer here, and we have time to take a deep breath off of this meet and sort of pull everybody together. And really sit down and make sure that we're moving in the right direction. David hasn't been back up to campus since April, so getting him and Kristen back into the fold, where we can sit down and work through these roles and understand what each of us is responsible for, and kind of each piece of this puzzle to make the whole thing better. yeah, we're working through that. We'll get it quick though. It'll take about 4 or 5 days, but I need to stop, sit back, and think on it. You know, that's been that's been hard because we've been getting to this point and getting to nationals that I haven't had the time to take a deep breath, pull back, and say, okay, let's make sure that we're taking care of this area. The great thing about Cal for us is that we have 2 8-lane 50-meter pools that we can spread some of our resources out. It was interesting working through the pandemic because we had to do that. We were in 2 cohorts on the men's side for all of 2020-21, and so I didn't do as good a job as I wanted to do with that. But I certainly learned from my mistakes in having those 2 different cohorts. So this is like, okay, I've already kind of worked through the 2 cohort piece. And so if we have our men at one pool, our women at one pool, or if we have our distance folks at one pool and our sprinters at another pool, like I've worked through that piece already, and I feel comfortable about that and how we navigate that and how we utilize our resource of our facilities and how we utilize the dynamic of our campus. How do we utilize the people that make us who we are, that make us successful. We're gonna lean into that, and I think that's gonna help us in the long run to it. I don't know what's going on with Terry, so like that is like and I don't want to say that in such a definitive way. The things I know is what everybody else knows, is that she's on administrative leave and that department and campus are moving through investigations. But I mean, I haven't spent time really in that space. I'm not a lawyer, right? And that's where it is a little bit, and the hands of lawyers are in the hands of people that are doing an investigation on it.